Do you have herpes and you're wondering how intimacy is supposed to work with someone who doesn't? Maybe you're thinking about being with someone who has herpes and you're wondering what that could mean for you. If you've been searching for answers, stick around, because in this episode, I'm going to share the different ways that I've handled intimacy in my relationships, what the most common methods are to lower transmission, what they offer, and how well they work, and how I got past the fear of transmission, and how you can too, so that you can create intimacy between you and your partner that feels safe, honest, and connected. Hi, I'm Dupree, and I help people to navigate life with herpes. For those that are new here, welcome. And for those that are returning, welcome back. Here at Herpes Wellness, we provide education, support, and empowerment for those living with herpes. And if you don't have herpes and you're just looking for more information, we're here to help you too. Now, each Tuesday, we post content on topics such as finding love, navigating intimacy, disclosure, and more. And today, we're focusing on the question that I get more than any other: how to actually navigate intimacy when herpes is in the picture. So, before we dive in, I want to let you know that I've been on both sides of this. So, for those of you who don't know my story, years ago, I chose to be in a long-term relationship with someone who told me from the very beginning that he had genital herpes. And at first, I must admit, I was really taken aback. I was so surprised that he was so matter-of-fact about it and unapologetic too. It was what it was. And after having that conversation with him, I decided that it wasn't a deal breaker to being in a relationship with him. While I was with him, he had so few outbreaks, it was like he didn't have herpes at all. But after our relationship ended and I was getting my life back together is when I found out that I had it too. And you want to know how many years I went before I was diagnosed? 10 years. I was in that relationship for all that time and I didn't have a single symptom, not one. Now, I don't know at one point during the relationship I got it because I never thought to get tested. And after I found out, I must admit, I beat myself up for a long time for making that decision. But now when I look back on things, I wouldn't have changed a thing. Now, fast forward to today and the roles are reversed where my current partner doesn't have genital herpes and he chose to be with me regardless of my status. After I disclosed to him, he was also taken aback. I mean, honestly, who wouldn't be, right? Anyway, after I told him, he took time and he did some research regarding the chances of transmission. Then he asked me questions on what I do to prevent transmission. And after several open conversations, he chose to be in a relationship with me, just like I chose to be in a relationship with my previous partner. But here's the reality. There are people that have stopped dating altogether after their diagnosis. Why? Mainly because of one or both these things. One, because out of fear of rejection. Because rejection is real and it sucks. Two, because of the fear of passing it on to someone else. And if you felt this way, trust me when I tell you, you are not alone. Everyone I've ever talked to has felt this way, or the other, or both. But the fear of passing it on to someone else who doesn't have it, that's the one that I feel scares people the most. They literally don't want to put someone else through what they've been through and be responsible for making someone else a part of the club, right? So they just give up altogether. And listen, I totally get it because I used to feel the same way too. As a matter of fact, I almost pushed away my current partner and a beautiful relationship due to that fear. But one realization changed everything, and I'll share what that is later on in this episode. But first, I'm going to take you back to where my journey began with my ex. Now, when I share with you how we navigated intimacy, you're probably going to think that I was playing with fire. So, are you ready to hear what we did? We actually practiced what I like to call the symptom method, meaning we based our intimacy on whether or not he had any signs of an outbreak. There were no barriers, and he didn't take antivirals. It was all about open communication and full awareness. And we made this decision together. Like I mentioned earlier, he hardly had any outbreaks during the entire time that we were together. And when he did, he let me know that something was coming on. He always experienced prodrome symptoms like most of us do. And when he did, we just refrained from being intimate from that time and until his outbreak was done. So if we refrained from being intimate during those times, then how in the world did I wind up getting herpes, right? Well, my conclusion is that I got it during a period of asymptomatic shedding. Some people don't believe or want to believe that this exists, but trust me when I tell you, it is a very real thing. So if you have herpes and you aren't experiencing any symptoms, there is a chance that you can pass it on to your partner. That's why lowering the chance of transmission is so important. And in just a bit, I'm going to walk you through the different ways that you can do that. But first, let's jump to today with my current partner who doesn't have genital herpes because things do look a little different. So what do? For us, it comes down to me taking daily antiviral therapy. It's the method that we both rely on, and that's what feels right for our relationship. Just like before, it was a decision that we made together, and that's how it should be. He understands the chances of transmission, and he also knows that antivirals cut those chances down a lot. But reducing transmission is only part of the story. I mean, it really comes down to how you and your partner choose to handle intimacy together. Because it only feels natural and comfortable when you're on the same page, and that requires open and honest conversations. Otherwise, you'll be worried all the time, and that's not fun for anyone now, is it? Now, let's talk about the ways to reduce the chances of transmission. I mean, let's be real. There's nothing that prevents transmission 100%. However, there are ways that you can cut the chances way down. First, let's talk about barrier methods, such as condoms or dental dams. Can they help? Yeah, they can. And they can lower transmission up to 30 to 40%, but here's the catch. Herpes can be located anywhere on the body. Now, the most common places are on the mouth and down there, right? But it can also be located on the thighs, the buttocks, and the lower back. So if someone has an outbreak in those areas or any area that a barrier method doesn't cover, even in the most common places, then herpes can still be transmitted to your partner. Therefore, it's best to know where your outbreaks occur for this method to be effective, and it's also recommended to use barrier methods with other strategies. So what are those other strategies? First, antiviral therapy. Now, this is my personal go-to, and there are two different ways that you can approach it. First, there's episodic antiviral therapy. And this is when you start taking antivirals when you feel something coming on, or what's also known as prodrome symptoms. These are things like tingling where outbreaks occur, sensitive skin in that area, or maybe some nerve pain. Typically, you'll take antivirals for 7 to 10 days until herpes has gone back into hiding. Second, daily antiviral therapy, which is my personal go-to. I take 500 milligrams of valcyclovir every day, not only to reduce transmission, but to also prevent me from having outbreaks. Without them, I have up to 6 outbreaks a year, and although my outbreaks are pretty mild, I'd rather not experience them. Plus, I'd have to refrain from intimacy from my partner a lot more often than if I didn't take them, which would be a total bummer. Now, how well do antivirals work to prevent outbreaks and transmission? Up to 80% in most people when it comes to outbreaks. I personally don't have any outbreaks when I'm on them, thank goodness. And as far as transmission goes, it reduces the chances from 3.6% to 1.9%, which is huge. Now, combine that with a barrier method if you choose to do so, and it is possible that you can reduce transmission to 0. Again, depending on if the barrier covers where outbreaks actually occur. One last thing I want to mention, when deciding to try any type of antiviral therapy, it's super important that you consult with your doctor or a licensed professional first. The reason being is that there are so many different types of therapies and different dosages, and you want to be sure that you're taking what's best for you. Lastly, I mentioned earlier that there was the realization that I had that helped me to get past the fear that we all have of passing herpes on to someone. And now I'm going to share it with you, right? After you disclose, if someone decides that herpes isn't a barrier to being with you, you have to remember that that's a choice that they are making. Don't push someone away just because you're afraid of passing it on. Look, I mentioned earlier that fear is real, and none of us would ever intentionally want to bring someone else into the club. And here's what I want you to understand. Someone is choosing to be with you knowing what the deal is, just like my partner made the choice to be with me, and just like I made the choice to be with someone who had herpes too. And that decision is theirs to make. They're an adult and they're in charge of making their own choices, including those regarding who they want to be in a relationship with. And no matter how you may feel about it, you're not in control nor responsible for someone else's choice. So instead of pushing a potential partner away because they don't have herpes like I almost did, I want you to open yourself up to the possibility of having an amazing relationship instead. That said, there is something that you definitely are responsible for, though, and that's doing your part to avoid transmission as best as you can. That means being upfront, being clear, and following through with the precautions you both agree on, whether that's daily antivirals, using a barrier protection, or other approaches that feel right for the both of you. And this happens when you are open, honest, and in constant communication regarding intimacy, and you decide on what that looks like together. So, what I want you to take away is this. Carrying the weight of someone else's decision, that's not yours to hold. This is where so many people get stuck. They think that if transmission happens, it's all on them. But the truth is, as long as you've been open and clear and you've followed through on what you've agreed as a couple, you've done everything possible. And that's really all anyone can ever do. Well, that's all I have for today. If you like today's episode, please like and subscribe to the channel. Also, I want to invite you to join our free online community by downloading the Herpes Wellness app. There, you'll have free access to our forums where you can ask questions, seek advice, and help other members along their journeys. And for a limited time, anyone who signs up for the free support membership, we're going to upgrade you to the Connection membership, which includes access to a whole bunch of super cool features, like a listing in our member directory and member search, direct messaging with other members, a group and love connection chat lounge, member-led events, both virtual and in person, plus monthly live streams with me where we talk about everything herpes. Normally, this membership is $19 a month, but you're going to get this access for free for as long as you remain a member. And if you're wondering about privacy, we've got you totally covered. The app icon actually says H Wellness. So if someone happens to see your screen, you won't disclose your status unintentionally. So be sure to join us at Herpes Wellness. The link to download the app for both the App Store and Google Play is in the description box below. And if there are any topics you'd like for me to discuss on this show, please leave them in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you the next time on the Herpes Wellness Podcast. Bye for now.